Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today, we will get lost in the pages of The Devil and Miss Prym by Paulo Coelho. The Devil and Miss Prym, 2000 by Paulo Coelho, is a philosophical novel exploring human morality and the eternal battle between good and evil. Set in the remote village of Viscos, the story unravels over 7 days as a mysterious stranger offers the villagers an unthinkable bargain that tests their ethical boundaries, leaving readers contemplating the essence of humanity. Plot summary. In the remote village of Viscos, where time seemed to stand still, life revolved around routine and whispered hopes of change. The villagers, though cordial, had grown accustomed to a predictable existence. It was a place where traditions reigned and change was viewed with suspicion. One day, a stranger appeared, climbing the steep hill into the village, his arrival marked by quiet intrigue. He brought with him more than the contents of his rucksack. He carried the weight of a question that would alter the lives of Viscos' inhabitants forever. The stranger, a man of shadowed past and conflicting intentions, checked into the village's modest hotel. In his possession were 11 bars of gold, hidden carefully in the mountains. Soon after, he sought out Chantal Prym, the young woman who worked at the hotel bar. Chantal, restless and disillusioned with her constrained life in Viscos, harbored dreams of escape but lacked the means to pursue them. The stranger sensed her longing and chose her as the bridge to deliver his challenge to the villagers. He led Chantal into the forest and revealed the hidden gold. 10 of the bars were meant for the village, a promise of collective wealth that could ensure a prosperous future. The 11th was for Chantal herself, an offer of freedom and a chance to leave the village behind. But the stranger's generosity came with a price. He posed a harrowing proposition. The gold would belong to the village only if, within 7 days, they committed a murder. If no life was taken, he would leave with the gold, and Viscos would remain as it was, forgotten and impoverished. Chantal, torn between disbelief and curiosity, initially dismissed the stranger's proposal as madness. Yet, as the days passed, she found herself haunted by his words. The temptation of gold weighed heavily on her thoughts. She stood at the crossroads of morality, faced with her own desires and the needs of her community. In her solitude, she reflected on the villagers, their struggles, and their inherent weaknesses. Could they resist the allure of wealth, or would they succumb to the darkness the stranger had unleashed? Meanwhile, the stranger observed the villagers with calculated intent. He mingled with them at the bar, listened to their tales, and studied their fears. The villagers, unaware of the true purpose of his visit, found his generosity and curiosity about their lives endearing. They welcomed him cautiously, their suspicions dulled by his outward charm. Yet, beneath the surface, a quiet tension began to grow, as if the very air carried a warning. Chantal, after much deliberation, decided to reveal the stranger's proposal to the villagers. She gathered them in the bar one evening and recounted the stranger's terms. Her words fell like a thunderclap, shaking the foundation of their shared morality. Shock turned to disbelief, then to a simmering debate. The gold represented salvation for their fading village, but at the cost of a single life. Who among them would they sacrifice, and could they live with the stain of murder on their souls? The days that followed were marked by turmoil and introspection. The villagers' discussions grew heated as they grappled with the stranger's offer. Some dismissed it outright, clinging to their principles, while others entertained the idea, their desperation outweighing their conscience. The village elder, once a symbol of wisdom, admitted to doubts. A farmer whispered about the possibility of targeting someone infirm or already near death, rationalizing the act as mercy rather than malice. Amidst this discord, Berta, the village's elderly matriarch, observed the unfolding events with quiet resolve. She had lived a long life, seated by her front door, watching the ebb and flow of life in Viscos. She believed in the inherent goodness of people, even when their actions faltered. Berta saw both the devil and an angel in the stranger's eyes, and in her heart, she knew the village stood at the precipice of its moral reckoning. Chantal, too, was undergoing a transformation. Her initial fear gave way to a deep anger, both at the stranger for manipulating them and at herself for considering his offer. She felt betrayed by her own dreams, which seemed to align too closely with the stranger's temptation. Yet, she realized that her decision could influence the entire village. Her courage to act could either save or doom them. As the 7th day dawned, the villagers reached a fragile consensus. They could not agree on a single course of action. divided by fear and greed, they remained paralyzed. The stranger, growing impatient, called for their decision. He stood in the town square, awaiting their response. But instead of uniting in violence or defiance, the villagers chose silence, their hesitation born of shame and uncertainty. In a moment of clarity, Chantal confronted the stranger. She refused his gold and denounced his experiment. Her defiance resonated through the village, forcing the others to confront their own cowardice. The stranger, faced with Chantal's unwavering stance, realized his plan had failed. He left the village as quietly as he had arrived, taking the gold with him. The storm that had engulfed Viscos subsided, leaving behind a village forever changed. Though no life had been taken, the villagers could no longer hide from their truths. They had glimpsed the darker side of their nature and emerged with scars, but also with a renewed understanding of their collective strength. Chantal, though still yearning for escape, found a newfound respect for her own resilience. In resisting temptation, she had saved not just herself, but an entire community. The mountains around Viscos remained as they always had, their peaks brushing the heavens, silent witnesses to the triumphs and failings of humankind. The stranger's question lingered, unanswered, but the villagers had learned something vital. The capacity for both good and evil resides within everyone. The choice between them is what defines a life. That's it for now, but don't stop here. Paulo Coelho has more stories waiting for you. Check them out in the description or on Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Paulo Coelho's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.